What's up, real gangsters right here, West Side Riva, Los Demonios, that's right.
West Side Riva Gang.
Big bad West Side Riva Gang, Sureños, homie, what's up?
West Side Riva, WSR, Gang Overview. The West Side Riva, WSR, also known as the West Side Riva Gang, WSRG, is a well-established Hispanic street gang based in Riverside, California. Originating in the 1970s, the gang formed in response to socio-economic challenges and racial tensions faced by the Hispanic community in Riverside. WSR primarily operates in the west side of Riverside, engaging in various criminal activities, including drug trafficking, extortion, and violent crimes. The gang also has affiliations with larger criminal organizations, such as the Mexican Mafia, which extends its influence both in and out of the prison system. History and territory, formation and early years. The gang emerged in the 1970s, a period marked by significant gang formation across Southern California. It was created as a means of self-protection and identity for young Hispanic individuals facing economic and social marginalization. Territorial control. WSR's territory primarily spans the west side of Riverside, though its influence can extend to neighboring areas. This territory is crucial for their operations and serves as a base for their criminal activities. Criminal activities. Drug trafficking and sales. Drug trafficking is a primary source of income for WSR, leading to frequent violent confrontations with law enforcement and rival gangs. Violent crimes. The gang is involved in numerous violent crimes, including assaults, robberies, and homicides, typically connected to territorial disputes and efforts to maintain dominance over rivals. Extortion. WSR engages in extortion, using threats and violence to extract money from local businesses and individuals. Notable cases involving West Side Riva gang members: 1. People vs. Richards. Anthony David Richards was convicted of attempted premeditated murder with associated enhancements and actively participating in a street gang. He admitted to 2 prior offenses and was sentenced to 42 years in prison. On appeal, Richards argued the court erred by allowing the victim, Trisha Vidales, to testify about her terminal illness and sought to correct the minute order and abstract of judgment. The claim of error was rejected, but modifications for accuracy were ordered. Facts. The 2001 stabbing. Vidales, previously married to West Side Riva gang leader Enrique Salcedo, reported his assault, leading to his imprisonment. In 2001, Rosa Rios, under orders from the gang, stabbed Vidales 14 times. Vidales reported Rios, resulting in a 10-year prison sentence for Rios. Vidales then avoided the Rubidoux area for 5 years. The 2006 shooting. On July 1, 2006, Vidales and her daughter encountered Richards and Raymond Ramirez, who introduced himself as Casper from West Side Riva. Ramirez shot Vidales in the chest after threatening her. Vidales identified both men to the police and in lineups. At trial, she testified despite having terminal cancer to set a good example for her children. Tello's testimony. Vidales's husband, Primitivo Tello, was attacked in jail by Richards for testifying. At trial, Tello gave inconsistent statements about the shooter. Vidales's testimony. Vidales testified about her cancer to explain her decision to testify despite threats. The defense objected to the relevance, but the court allowed it. The prosecutor argued her testimony was credible due to her terminal illness. Richards claimed this testimony was prejudicial, but it was deemed relevant to her credibility, and the jury was instructed to avoid bias or sympathy. Disposition. The judgment was affirmed, but corrections to the minute order and abstract of judgment were ordered to reflect the oral pronouncement of a determinate term of 2 years followed by an indeterminate term of 40 years to life. 2. People vs. Aguayo. A jury convicted 20-year-old Robert Nicholas Aguayo of robbery. Count 1, 2 counts of actively participating in a criminal street gang. Counts 2 and 5, attempted robbery. Count 3, and assault with force likely to cause great bodily injury. Count 4. The jury also found true the allegations that Aguayo committed the robbery, attempted robbery, and assault in counts 1, 3, and 4 for the benefit of a criminal street gang. Additionally, the court found true that Aguayo committed the offense alleged in count 5 while on bail. Consequently, Aguayo was sentenced to 15 years in prison. On appeal, Aguayo argued that the court erred in admitting the juvenile records of the minors involved in counts 3, 4, and 5, and in failing to instruct the jury on aiding and abetting attempted robbery in count 3. He also contended there was insufficient evidence to support his convictions for attempted robbery, actively participating in a gang, and the true findings on the gang enhancements. The appellate court agreed that the lower court erred in failing to instruct the jury on aiding and abetting liability and therefore reversed his conviction for attempted robbery in count 3. However, the court rejected Aguayo's other claims of reversible error. Factual and procedural background. The Angel E incident, counts 1 and 2, on the evening of February 3, 2007. 16-year-old Angel E was walking home in Riverside when 4 Hispanic teenage males approached him in a black truck. The young men, including Aguayo, who was recognized by Angel from high school, surrounded Angel. Aguayo, known by the nickname Thief, asked Angel if he belonged to a gang and insulted rival gangs. After Angel denied gang affiliation, Aguayo took Angel's cell phone and chain. As the young men left, Aguayo shouted gang-related statements. Angel reported the incident to his mother and the police, providing a photo of Aguayo from MySpace. Deputy Sheriff Gregory Benson and Deputy Joel Wilson later confirmed Aguayo's identity and gang affiliation. Angel subsequently identified Aguayo in a photo lineup. The Pedro M. incident, counts 3, 4 and 5, on March 5, 2008. 17-year-old Pedro M. and his younger brother Rodolfo were at a discount mall when 5 Hispanic males, including Aguayo, approached them. Pedro recognized some of the individuals as West Side Riva gang members who had previously tried to recruit him. Aguayo confronted Pedro, who denied gang affiliation, leading Aguayo to punch him. The group assaulted Pedro, and during the attack, one of the assailants attempted to rob Pedro. Both Pedro and Rodolfo sustained injuries. The security guard's intervention led to Aguayo's detention and arrest. Pedro identified Aguayo during a field lineup, and Aguayo admitted gang association during booking. Evidence from the Learning Center. In February 2006, Aguayo attended the Learning Center, a school for expelled students, where he was found with gang-related writings and lyrics. These findings contributed to the belief that Aguayo was a member of the West Side Riva Gang. Gang evidence. During a search of the homes of the minors involved in the Pedro incident, gang paraphernalia was found. Similar items were discovered in Aguayo's residence. Deputy Joel Wilson testified as the prosecution's gang expert, asserting Aguayo's gang membership and the gang-related motives behind the crimes. His opinion was based on multiple pieces of evidence, including photographs, writings, Aguayo's actions during the crimes, and a YouTube video featuring Aguayo rapping about rival gangs. Aguayo's defense. Aguayo testified, denying gang membership and attributing his actions and lyrics to mere association and entertainment purposes. He provided his version of the incidents with Angel and Pedro, claiming that he did not intend to rob Angel and acted in self-defense during the confrontation with Pedro. Aguayo's defense included explanations of his tattoos and denial of specific gang affiliations at the time of the incidents. Pedro testified at trial that while Aguayo and 2 other young men were attacking him, he felt someone reach to take something out of his pocket. When Pedro put his hand over his pocket to keep them from taking anything out, he was cut on the hand. The prosecution argued in closing that Aguayo was able to be guilty of attempted robbery in that situation because of the group assault that's going on. He is providing the muscle. He's the big guy in the group. He's the 246-foot guy, big guy, providing the muscle. He throws the first punch. He's providing that force necessary to accomplish the robbery that isn't accomplished, because they aren't able to get the stuff, because the security guard comes out. The jury convicted Aguayo of attempted robbery. The evidence showed that Aguayo and 4 other West Side Riva gang members approached Pedro and his younger brother. Aguayo asked Pedro where he was from and then told him, "Where do you think you're at? This is West Side Riva, Los Lobos." Aguayo asked Pedro to call himself the B word. When Pedro refused, Aguayo punched him in the face. Aguayo and 2 of the other men then began punching and kicking Pedro as he lay on the ground. One of the men then tried to take something out of Pedro's pocket. When Pedro put his hand over his pocket, someone cut his hand. Deputy Wilson also testified that one of the primary offenses committed by the West Side Riva gang was robbery. The evidence further showed that Aguayo was entrenched in the West Side Riva gang and hung out with other gang members on a regular basis. Contrary to this argument by the prosecution, the focus of Aguayo's knowledge and intent is unclear on this record. It could have been simply to promote West Side Riva, and the perpetrator of the attempted robbery acted on his own. This alternative inference is supported by Deputy Wilson's testimony that Aguayo's actions, such as asking Pedro where he was from, telling Pedro to call himself a bitch, and assaulting Pedro after he disrespected Aguayo, were designed to intimidate victims and enhance the reputation of the gang in the community, and therefore all for the benefit of West Side Riva. Without instructions that describe the requirements for imposing liability on an aiding and abetting theory, we cannot say beyond a reasonable doubt that the jury would have found that Aguayo intended to aid and abet the attempted robbery. Accordingly, we reverse Aguayo's conviction on count 3 and remand the matter for further proceedings. Angel testified that Aguayo took his cell phone and chain, which is felonious conduct. Aguayo's actions and statements during the robbery also indicated his gang membership and intent to promote the gang. Similarly, Pedro testified that Aguayo was one of the primary assailants during the attack at the discount mall, which is further felonious conduct. Aguayo's involvement in these incidents, coupled with the gang-related items found in his possession, supports the finding that he actively participated in West Side Riva with knowledge of its criminal activities and willfully promoted, furthered, or assisted in felonious conduct by gang members. One of West Side Riva's rivals, the Rubidoux Project Crips. The Rubidoux Project Crips, PJC, also known as the Project Gangster Crips, PJGC, and the West Side Rubidoux Project Crips, or the PJs, are a multi-generational street gang primarily, but not exclusively, composed of African Americans. They are located in the Rubidoux neighborhood on the west side of Riverside, California. The Project Crips are organized into cliques, including the 29th Street Crips, 28th Street Crips, and the 35th Street Crips. The Project Crips should not be confused with the Project PJs, Watts Crips, based on the east side of Watts in South Los Angeles. They share the Rubidoux community with predominantly Hispanic gangs such as West Side Riva and Dogtown Riva, and they often clash with Latino gangs like Barrio Night Owls and Barrio Dogtown Riva. The Project Crips are part of the Gangster Crips, also known as 3X or moving gangs. Allies and rivals. The Project Crips have strong alliances with the Casablanca Gangster Crips and share common enemies, including the 1200 Block East Coast Crips, West Side Riva, and East Side Riva. Other allies include the Altadena Block Crips, Whitsett Avenue Gangster Crips, and Do Rock Crips. The West Side Project Gangster Crips and Dogtown Rivas are both fierce rivals of the West Side Rivas. In the news, on August 15, 2005, DeJuan Jones, an African-American member of the West Side Project Crips, was at a car stereo shop with his girlfriend Alicia Richards, their 2 children, and his friend William Berlanga. They noticed a Chevrolet Impala with 4 Hispanic males affiliated with the West Side Riva, a rival gang. Jones and Berlanga exchanged aggressive eye contact with the men in the Impala, a sign of disrespect in gang culture that can have fatal consequences. Fearing for their safety, Jones told his girlfriend to leave with their children. Shortly after, Mario Ivan Soto, a member of the West Side Riva and one of the men in the Impala, approached with a semi-automatic handgun. Jones retrieved his own semi-automatic handgun from his car. The two men walked toward each other and began talking. Meanwhile, Alicia Richards informed Jones' brother, Richard Whitley, also a member of the Project Crips, about the situation. Whitley rushed to the stereo shop with a loaded gun. Jones and Soto, who had known each other since childhood, discussed ending the feud between their gangs. They shook hands and seemed to reach an understanding. However, when Whitley arrived, he found Jones on the ground, covered in blood. He saw Soto fleeing into an alley and gave chase, firing at him, but Soto escaped. Whitley returned to comfort his dying brother. Police arrived to find Jones deceased. Soto was later arrested and sentenced to life without parole, plus 25 years for discharging a firearm in public. Alicia Richards confirmed that Jones and Soto knew each other and that Soto had visited their home several times. The Project Crips viewed the incident as a betrayal, as Jones was shot after agreeing to a truce. He was hit twice in the back, once in the abdomen, and grazed on the head. In 2006, the West Side Project Crips retaliated by killing a high-ranking member of the West Side Rivas, further intensifying the feud. West Side Riva Cliques. West Side Riva has many cliques. Here are a few, though this may not be an exhaustive list. West Side Rivas X3, West Side Riva X3 Blue Devils, West Side Riva X3 Los Bandidos, West Side Riva X3 Lobos, West Side Riva X3 Los Demonios, West Side Riva X3 Insane Soldados. Relationship with the Mexican Mafia. Affiliation. The Mexican Mafia exerts significant control over many Hispanic street gangs in California, including WSR. Senior members of WSR often seek favor or membership within LAIN for protection and enhanced criminal opportunities. Taxes and tribute. WSR, like other gangs under LAIN's influence, may pay taxes or tributes in exchange for the right to operate. This includes a portion of profits from drug sales and other illicit activities. Enforcement. The Mexican Mafia may call upon WSR members to enforce rules, carry out hits, or engage in acts of violence to maintain order and discipline within the organization. Law enforcement and community impact. Police crackdowns. Law enforcement agencies have conducted numerous operations to curb WSR's influence, resulting in arrests and convictions, though the gang remains active. Community programs. Programs focused on education, employment, and rehabilitation have been implemented to offer alternatives to gang life. These programs aim to address root causes of gang involvement, such as poverty and lack of opportunity. Modern era. Current status. In recent years, the West Side Riva gang continues to be a presence in Riverside. However, they have had to adapt to changing circumstances and increased law enforcement efforts. Despite these challenges, they remain active in their core criminal activities and maintain their territorial control.